Yo, a $4 trillion asset manager just released a report where they said that the Bitcoin acceleration phase is right around the corner. If history repeats, this is exactly what happened in 2017 as Bitcoin began its rally from 1K to 20K by the end of the year. Considering it's April 1st, 2025, are we about to see the beginning of a 20x rally? Let's see. A 5x, I would be extremely happy. Let's get at least half of that. That would be amazing. Today, we're going to be breaking down all the key insights in this report that went completely under the radar over the previous days. Who wrote this report? It was Fidelity. Again, these reports that we've been covering for the last 2 days, they aren't coming from Bitcoin Twitter. They're coming from BlackRock. They're coming from Fidelity. These institutions have skin in the game, to say the least. In my 9 years in Bitcoin, I haven't seen so much bullish news and the price stay stagnant for so long. The price has to rip. Number has to go up. It's infinity divided by 21 million. That's not an April Fool's joke. Let's get right into it. So joining us today, we have Wade from Bitcoin Alaska joining us on the show today. Wade, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, no more delay. Let's jump straight into today's news. What am I talking about? What report am I talking about? Let me pull it up. Again, it's by Fidelity Digital Assets. The name of the report is Bitcoin Set for Further Price Discovery, Education, and Insights. At the top, it says, as Bitcoin's current market cycle progresses, investors are watching closely for potential signs of continued price discovery following the post-election rise. In November 2024, Bitcoin's price made its first convincing move above the previous all-time high set in March 2024 based on closing prices via Glassnode, entering a phase of true price discovery for the first time, surpassing 20,000 in December 2020. Shifts of this kind have historically been seen during previous acceleration phases, a time in Bitcoin's price cycle characterized by high volatility and high profit. The key question now is, has Bitcoin already hit this cycle's blow off top, or does this asset have further room to run? And again, I'm not the only one to remember 2017. If you guys have been here for long enough, you guys remember that I've been saying that this cycle reminds me a lot of 2017 in various ways. If you guys remember the beginning of 2017, we didn't move price-wise from January to like April or March. It was like chopping sideways. We were between $700 and $1,500, and it would just, kind of chop in between. Of course, percentage terms, that's major, right? 700 to 1,500, that's the price, percentage wise, that's big volatility. But in the grand scheme of things, now we're sitting here at $85,000 Bitcoin, and we're looking back at that type of movement. We're saying that wasn't that much at all, right? And we've been joking, Opti and I, about 109K being the price peak. I mean, you could say that, what happens with Bitcoin peaks is that no one knows until like a year later, and then it hits everyone at the same time. It's like, all right, guys, we're in a bear market. But it would be weird. And the reason that it would be weird is because we didn't have the announcement of the SBR back when Bitcoin peaked the day of Trump's inauguration. We didn't have the news of the end of Operation Choke Point 2.0. We didn't have the news of the repeal of SAB 121, which would allow banks to custody Bitcoin. Remember, one of the 3 things that Michael Saylor said needed to happen in order for Bitcoin to hit $5 million per coin, there were 3 of them. One was the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF. The other was the change in the FASB accounting rules. And the third was for banks to be able to custody Bitcoin. Now that is possible. So after all of this bullish news, and this brings me to one of my latest tweets that I posted this morning. I don't have it pulled up. One of the latest tweets that I posted this morning was essentially like, look, guys, Simply is a media organization, right? And one of the things that I noticed is that this is one of the most epic bull markets in terms of news, but one of the worst bull markets in terms of price action. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what's going on? I'm not the only one to agree with this perspective. Here's Pete Russo, and he says, truth. Adam Back responds to Pete, and this was my post, and he says, surprising amount of sellers given the persistent buyers buying 5x mine supply, but ultimately they can only sell once. Pete Russo responds with, flights around the North and South Poles aren't cheap. So going back to the Fidelity report, again, look, at the end of 2017, I never forget this. This was essentially the year after I got in, the year that Opti got in. A lot of us are from the class of 2017, that era, right? And we never forget this. It was like the beginning of the year, Bitcoin essentially was going sideways, and then it started to pick up. And then essentially the end of the year ended up with total parabola mania euphoria phase, to the point that you would get in an Uber and they were talking to you about Bitcoin, right? They're like, in hindsight, it was such a top signal, but of course, no one saw it at the time. But anyways,
go down further. Go down.
Yeah. So the report continues to say, are we approaching the end of the cycle? While the future remains uncertain, historical precedent suggests that as the acceleration phase extends, the likelihood of a blow-off top increases. As of March 3rd, 2025, Bitcoin reached day 232 of its latest acceleration phase, edging closer to when previous phases have peaked and been followed by an abrupt reversal. The acceleration phase of 2010 to 2011, 2013, and 2017 reached their tops on days 244, 261, and 280. Respectively, suggesting a slightly more drawn-out phase each cycle. This does not necessarily mean the current phase will end within the specific time frame. However, history shows that Bitcoin's acceleration phase can conclude with a sharp, dramatic rally akin to the grand finale in a fireworks show, before rapidly losing momentum and entering the reversal phase. And as you can see, it's kind of comparing the two. The orange line at the bottom, I mean, that's kind of depressing, isn't it? Right? It shows 2010, it shows 2013, it shows 2017, and it shows 2024, 2025. It's not showing 2021, which I find interesting. Anyways, it continues to say, a key metric to watch during the acceleration phase is the number of days during a rolling 60-day period in which Bitcoin reaches a new all-time high. Bitcoin has typically experienced two major surges within previous acceleration phases, with the first instance of this cycle's following the election. If a new all-time high is on the horizon, it will have a starting base near 110,000, and we've heard that multiple times. It is important to note that the only time a second rally failed to materialize was in November 2021. As we continued monitoring this current cycle, it will be important to watch for whether Bitcoin follows its historic patterns or begins to show signs of divergence. And again, this is a report by Fidelity Digital Assets. I believe Fidelity has one of the largest ETFs, and they've been in the industry for quite a long time now. Here is a chart by BitBo comparing essentially all the previous cycles in terms of what percentage they are in after the halving, and let's compare some of them. I don't like the first one because Bitcoin was in price discovery. This was when, like, people were essentially trading two Papa John's pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. No one had any idea Bitcoin had any value. So let's start comparing it from the 2013 cycle. So it seems like the 2013 cycle rally started right after the halving. So in percentage terms, we should have already had a crazy parabolic rally. Now, the 2017 cycle, which again, according to American HODL, where is the thing? Yeah, according to American HODL, he has this pinned on his tweet. It almost has 1 million views. A lot of you weren't here for it, but this is exactly what the beginning of 2017 felt like. By the way, he's not the only one to get those vibes. I've been saying this since the end of 2024. First thing I said is I have a feeling that once we break 100K, it's going to rip so hard. Feeling 2017 vibes, not 2021 vibes. 2021 vibes, in my opinion, 2021 was a big letdown. And I think the big reason as to why we were let down is because of the China mining ban. There's this huge correlation between the hash rate and the Bitcoin price. And it seems like as soon as China banned Bitcoin mining within their borders, the hash rate dropped off a cliff. And you could see there's a very strong correlation between the drop of the hash rate and the drop of the price. I was making the case that essentially those are all those miners selling Bitcoin onto the market in order to relocate to more favorable jurisdictions. But as Adam back put, responding to my X post this morning, you could only sell once. So despite all this sell pressure, you can only sell that Bitcoin one time. You're not going to be able to get it back. Or if you do want to get it back, you're going to be forced to have to buy it at a much higher price. So the second thing that I said in December 15th of 2024, so last year or late last year, I said 2025 will be the redemption year for the class of 2017 who got rugged in 2021. Earlier this year, I said in January 2017, Bitcoin ranged around the 1K region. 11 months later, it topped at 20K. The most explosive years in Bitcoin history, like 2017, are the years after the halving. 2025 is that year. We all know the meme, 3 green, 1 red. 3 green years and then 1 red year. So if Bitcoin follows previous cycles, this is 2025 is the year of the parabola. But it's acting more like 2017 than it was in 2021. In 2021, what we saw was the cycle was like expedited. It happened a lot quicker, a lot sooner than a lot of people anticipated. I'll pull up the chart right here. Here is the 2021 cycle. As you can see, we already essentially peaked in 2021. In 2017, the peak didn't occur until much later. So could this cycle be more like 2017? Or more like 2021, or something completely different? I don't know. We are in uncharted territory. We might have peaked at 109. Who knows? But I don't know. I'm a vibes type of guy. I'm feeling the vibes. American Hodl, a Bitcoin legend, he's feeling the vibes. And Bitcoin OGs like Pete Russo and Adam Back, again, they're basically saying like, look, guys, the math ain't mathin'. This does not make sense. Right? We're having record. I can't emphasize this enough, guys. The United States government, the most powerful government on the face of the planet that literally has a money printer, just announced to the rest of the world that it has every intention of acquiring Bitcoin, using the money printer, using the power of the state to acquire more Bitcoin. The Trump administration is signaling to the world that it has a positive Bitcoin stance. The regulatory environment is essentially being cleaned up. Do you really think that essentially the peak was Trump's inauguration day, or the best is yet to come? I mean, I tend to believe that the best is yet to come. I'm getting 2017 vibes. If I told you back in 2017, April 1st of 2017, that the Bitcoin price was going to end up at 20K by the end of the year, you would not have believed me, right? You wouldn't believe me. You said, Nico, you are crazy. That makes absolutely no sense. I'll pull up the chart for you guys so you guys could kind of have like a visualization of what it is I'm talking about. Like this was the 2017 price discovery. Here's April, right? You see this, right? No one could have, if I would have told you, right? We were like roughly at what? $1,000, $2,000. If I would have told you it would have done this by the end of the year, you wouldn't have believed me. You just wouldn't have believed me, right? So again, you know, maybe me and Hodl's vibes are off. Maybe we're seeing things that are not there, but you know, I'm a vibes guy, Opti. I'm a vibes guy. Are you a vibes guy?
I am a total vibes guy, but really, you know, kind of playing on the counterpoint here. I think what we're all feeling right now, and this is why I'm also kind of thinking we might be seeing a 2017 vibe, is this like fatigue that a lot of us Bitcoiners are feeling. Like we're getting worn down right now. We're literally that one meme where what's the Wojak one where you're just like torn down, you're like beat up, you have bags under your eyes, and you're like, no, I'm good, I'm good, bro. I swear I'm doing well. Like it's gonna pump soon. And I know we've kind of been diving into like hopium territory the last couple of days, is because I think a lot of us are kind of feeling the same thing right now. We're all wondering what exactly is going on, especially when you get so much good news coming out here. We're seeing basically Bitcoin enter the mainstream, and we're all wondering, it's like, why isn't the Bitcoin price going up? We're seeing so many buys of Bitcoin. What exactly is happening in this cycle? Did the old cycle theories break? Are we entering new territory? Are we literally just going to have prolonged cycles here? You know, I've been kind of joking that we're going to see kind of like a stepwise function where it just kind of, you know, pumps, goes sideways, pumps again, because we seem to be going in that territory. But the one thing I did like about that Fidelity report is this idea of a prolonged cycle. And they have a pretty good metric to cover this. The days till all-time high seem to be progressively spreading out. Now, I've known a lot of Bitcoiners been saying this the last couple of years, or rather last cycle. It's like the cycles, yeah, there we are. That's literally me right now. Like the cycles have been kind of getting elongated. And I think this is part of that idea that we are entering into a new paradigm. We are maturing as an asset class, or rather as global reserve money. And now that the big players are here, obviously we're seeing that, you know, we kind of have the vibe that there is some sort of price manipulation going on. We don't know exactly where it's coming from, whether it's paper Bitcoin from ETFs, or I don't think we dropped it yet, but we are going to drop this clip with CJ. And he's been kind of, I think he's been on like hitting the nail on the head recently, where he's saying, look, the Bitcoin cycles that we've seen in the past have been this commodity cycle play out, where you'll see Bitcoin do this 4-year cycle. Now we're seeing that the supply of Bitcoin that gets released yearly is becoming very minimal. And he's saying sometime soon, maybe it's now, maybe we have, you know, 4 years left, but we will enter like a monetary cycle, and Bitcoin will do this S-curve adoption. So we're going to drop this for you guys, I think later or some point this week. But he's essentially saying that the reason you're feeling this pain right now, the reason you're wondering there's so much Bitcoin being bought, how is the price not going up, is because there's some big boys in the market now, and they're essentially yield farming. You know, they'll buy some Bitcoin, but they'll also short that Bitcoin at the same time so that they can just generate yield as the Bitcoin price does its thing. But like Adam Back is saying, they can only sell Bitcoin once. And once people start to understand what they're holding, the price has to rip. So I know you guys in the chat are kind of feeling the same thing. We're all kind of feeling like, man, the price should be pumping now. It's pumping around the corner. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we are just filling you guys with some hopium this year. But I don't think 109K is the top. That just doesn't feel right to me. And I am just vibes trading here. You know, I'm just vibes checking here that this just can't be the top. With everything we're saying, this can't be the top. So I'm kind of leaning towards, it seems like these cycles are being prolonged, and I won't be the only one that says, I forget who said it, but someone was saying that we might be seeing Bitcoin pump into 2026, which would completely invalidate the cycle theory, because that should be the year where we hit a bear market. So if we are getting kind of a more gradual climb upwards, that's obviously going to mean we're not going to see these huge declines downward in the bear market. So, you know, is this a bear trap right now? We won't know until the end of summer. But it does feel like the price is going to continue to elongate. These cycles are getting bigger. We're starting to enter macroeconomic situations here, macro uncertainty. So I'm kind of leaning towards cycles are getting longer. Obviously, this is my hopium optimistic take right now, but I think we are prolonging right now in terms of cycle theory.
Absolutely, 100%. I do want to give a shout out before we get Wade's thoughts. I do want to give a shout out to the live stream. We got 1,700 of you guys watching live between YouTube and X. And shout out to the Rumble audience, 330 live viewers on Rumble. Rumble, if you guys are enjoying the show, smash that like button. The Rumble chat is the most savage. But of course, we appreciate the YouTube audience. YouTube about to break 700 live viewers. We're at 673 live viewers on YouTube. YouTube alone. Smash that like button. We're already at 120 likes. Help us break 200 likes within the first 30 minutes of the show. Anyways, we got Wade in the house. Wade is the organizer of the BTC Bitcoin Alaska conference that's coming up this year. You guys definitely don't want to miss it. Speakers include our boy Rustin, of course, and Alex Gladstein is going to be making an appearance. And it's going to be a very special conference for anyone who hasn't been to Alaska. It's absolutely beautiful. Wade, thank you so much for joining us on Simply Bitcoin Live today. My question to you is, Wade, what is going on with the Bitcoin price? You know, a lot of people were expecting the Bitcoin price to be a lot higher right now. Some people are speculating that, hey, this is manipulation. People like American Hodl are saying, you know what, this is the 2017 cycle all over again. Just have patience. You know, Bitcoin OGs like Adam Back, Samson Mao. I had an interview with Samson Mao at the Mining Disrupt conference backstage, and he said, listen, we should be at 200K by now. And of course, Bitcoin OG Adam Back is basically saying, look, there was a lot more sell pressure than we anticipated, but the bright side of that is that they could only sell once. So, Wade, what are your thoughts?
I think we're either going to continue going up, like it's going to model this 2017 cycle, but I'm almost getting the feeling that it's more likely to not have such a bear market that we used to have. I've been in this since 2015, and I've watched the cycles, and it seems that I'm not so sure we're going to have the blow off top, but that's okay, because either way, you don't want to sell your Bitcoin. If you're going to go up, you know, Saylor's thesis of 40% a year and slowly lowering down to 28% a year, either way, you don't want to sell your Bitcoin. You're either going to, you know, you're going to enjoy a blow off top and maybe miss the top of the cycle, or you're just going to be able to hold it and make, you know, and gain value faster than any other asset in human history. So it's a win-win. Just don't sell your Bitcoin.
Absolutely. I think that's a great take. And yeah, I mean, the cycles might be over, you know, but again, a 40% CAGR year over year, I think is amazing. But to kind of add to that, Wade, like Pierre Richard posted a tweet or post yesterday showing Bitcoin's CAGR. It's down to 13% over the last 4 years. Bitcoin has not made an all-time high compared to gold in the last 4 years. If you price Bitcoin in golds, it hasn't made an all-time high since 2021. That's a long time, especially us Bitcoiners. We're spoiled, man. Like, we're spoiled. I know I might be nitpicking because, again, all these numbers could be completely skewed and wrong if Bitcoin has a strong end of the year performance. But a lot of us that are used to this, you know, quick dopamine hits of Bitcoin ripping, you know, I think a lot of us are underwhelmed, to say the least. Again, from a news perspective, this is great. It gives stuff for me and Opti to talk about on a daily basis. But from a price action man perspective, it definitely seems a little bit underwhelming. Wade, what are your thoughts?
Bitcoin's more liquid. As soon as the money printer kicks on, Bitcoin's going to go straight up. And it's going to retain the value stronger than gold over time. So I have a hard time seeing the gold thesis. I played with gold. I understand gold. I pulled it out of the streams. So I pulled it out of the earth. It's not easy to pull out of the earth. And every time they start pulling it out of the earth, or every time the value goes up, they just pull more out of the earth. How much gold is there? We don't know. So overall, I think gold's going to, over time, just lose its market share. Bitcoin's going to take it. I don't know how long that's going to be. It's probably going to be a while. There's a lot of gold bugs up here in Alaska. We've got the only true gold mine in the U.S. is Kensington right here in Juneau, and the highest producing silver mine here is, you know, the U.S. is right here in Juneau. But, you know, what's going to happen to Kensington gold mine as it loses its market share? They're hiring like off the charts right now in the gold mine and in the silver mine, but only because the price of Bitcoin's going, or price of gold's going up. I don't see that lasting. As soon as the money printer kicks on, gold's going to lose more of its market share and Bitcoin's going to rip.
Yeah, and I agree. And that's something to point out about gold specifically, right? Is gold does not have absolute scarcity. And as the price goes up, the production of gold goes up with it, right? As the price of Bitcoin goes up, the production of Bitcoin not only stays the same, it literally gets halved every 4 years, right? So it has absolute scarcity, and it has this mechanism in order to essentially make number go up, right? And I think this is why a lot of us, again, are having weird feelings about this current cycle, right? Because again, if it was 2021, we would already be, you know, at 150, 200K right now, right? 2017 was a little bit more elongated. Maybe American HODL's right. Maybe I'm right. I'm getting 2017 vibes. But let's see what happens. I still think we have an amazing rest of the year. You did mention something as well, Wade, about right now being a difficult kind of monetary environment. We're still in a QT environment. That's what a lot of people have to understand. I believe, Opti, you were telling me this yesterday. I don't know if it's right, but you were saying that Bitcoin has never existed in a QT environment. It's only existed in a QE environment.
Well, I am referencing Rustin as my source here. And yeah, pretty much since 2008, it's been, you know, quantitative easing, which been money printer go burr. And I think only in the last couple of years have we gotten this tightening moment. And obviously we all know what was in the Bitcoin, you know, Genesis block is Chancellor on the brink of second bailout. So we've been living in a basically the TLDR layman version of this is we've been living in an easy money environment since Bitcoin's inception. And now we're getting to this place now where we're getting into a, you know, tightening of the money supply. And so this is probably why we're seeing a little different mechanics play out. Sorry.
So I asked our AI overlords, is it true that Bitcoin has only existed in a QE environment? It says, yes, Bitcoin has existed exclusively during a period of characterized QE, quantitative easing, aka money printing. The Federal Reserve first initiated its first QE program in November 2008 in response to the global financial crisis. Bitcoin was introduced shortly after within the mining of its Genesis block on January 3rd. Since then, various QE measures have been implemented, and Bitcoin has continued to operate within this economic environment. So again, it's true. This is the first bull cycle that Bitcoin is in a QT environment. Now, Powell in his last the last FOMC meeting, he did signal that he was going to slow that down. And a lot of people are having expectations that we're heading back into QE in May. And a lot of people are speculating that the Trump administration right now, with all the tariff talks, they're doing it on purpose in order to force the hand of the Federal Reserve. Trump's agenda cannot be met without the money printing. That's something to keep in mind. So anyways, guys, I still feel incredibly bullish for the end of the year. I'm a vibes guy. American HODL's a vibes guy. Are we getting a 2017 2.0? If so, that would be absolutely bonkers. But regardless, number go up. And the reason number goes up is it's infinity divided by 21 million. Anyways, guys, it's going to be an incredible show for you guys today. We're jam-packed with a ton of content. I do want to show the Wojak face again. Yeah, we're just coping, guys. We're just coping.
I am building.
So anyways, guys, it's going to be a jam-packed show for you guys. We have so much to talk about. We have Fundstrat's Tom Lee predicting that Bitcoin will reach 150K by the end of the year. We're going to play that video for you guys. Then we're going to discuss. And then during the news segment, I wasn't here for that show, but we're going to be talking about GameStop approving adding Bitcoin to its treasury reserves. And we're going to be talking about the FDIC saying that banks could engage in Bitcoin and crypto without prior approval. And this is a complete 180 to how things were working during the Biden administration, where essentially banks were being targeted for banking crypto or banking Bitcoin. So we have a jam-packed show for you guys. And of course, during the culture segment, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin Alaska conference that's coming up later on this year. Our boy Rustin's going to be there. Lisa Ho. We have Alex Gladstein. It's going to be a jam-packed conference. You guys definitely don't want to miss. It's going to be great. Alaska is beautiful. I believe there's like a boat watching day. It's going to be great. So guys, it's going to be a jam-packed show. Smash the like button if you guys are enjoying the show so far. But before we jump into it, I do want to give a shout out to Simply Bitcoin's lead sponsor by far. Wait, can you pull up that comment again, Opti? That was a good comment. We got Justin. He says, class of 2017 here too. It was nuts to refresh your portfolio and see the difference in 4 hours. Yeah, no one forgets that. We've been chasing the dragon ever since. 9 years of chasing that dragon hasn't come back. Anyways, guys, so I do want to give a shout out to Simply Bitcoin's lead sponsor, by far the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack, bitcoinwell.com. Buy real Bitcoin. Enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin on-chain or via the Lightning Network in Canada and the USA. They have recurring buys. What makes Bitcoin Well different? Why do we recommend it? Because it's the only on-ramp in the US that's completely non-custodial. What does that mean? That means that when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. They don't even give you the ability to leave your Bitcoin on the exchange. They have built it the right way, the hard way, but the correct way. They built it with the correct incentives set in place, because remember, if your Bitcoin is not in self-custody, it ain't your mother effing Bitcoin. Anyways, check out Bitcoin Well Infinite. It's tailored for high net worth individuals that are looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more. You can book a call today. Go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC. Again, you're going to have a dedicated representative assigned to your account, of which you can call, you can text. Anytime you want to buy or sell Bitcoin, you have someone you can call or text and say, hey, yo, I want to place an order. So this is tailored for people that are looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more. I highly recommend it. It's 24-hour delivery. So you send a wire transfer within 24 hours, you get the Bitcoin sent directly to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. I've done it a couple times for families and friends. It's seamless. It's easy to use. If you guys have any questions, you can send me a DM. So check out bitcoinwell.com/OTC if you're a higher net worth individual and you're looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more. Also, every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn Bitcoin Well points, and you could redeem those points. You could use those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest, which we're going to do live for you guys right now. First person to scan the QR code has won 210 sats. You win every single time you toss a coin into the Wishing Well. And if you use promo code SimplyBTC, again, SimplyBTC, to sign up to bitcoinwell.com today, you get 3 tosses into the Wishing Well. Every toss, you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshis. Go to bitcoinwell.com/simply to get started today. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. We have tons to talk about today. Smash the like button. We will be right back.
I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today.
All right, everybody, use the promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store. By the way, it seems like I mispronounced Lisa's name. Her name is Lisa Huff. She's going to be speaking at the Bitcoin Alaska conference. You guys definitely don't want to miss that. The Bitcoin price is $84,940. The block height is 890,425. Sats per dollar 1,177. Market cap 1.69 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 7.69%. Percentage issued 94.5%. Decline from all-time high negative 22.2%. Realized monetary inflation 0.89%. Continuing to take fiat currencies to absolute school. Anyways, I have a clip for you guys from Legacy Media. We have Tom Lee of Fundstrat still sees Bitcoin reaching 150K by the end of 2025. By the way, it isn't just Tom Lee who's saying this. We also have Arthur Hayes. I've really been enjoying some of Arthur Hayes' Substack posts. I think they've been really great. The reason I've been enjoying them is because I think the case that he's been making is that Bitcoin is really, really tied to global liquidity. In the early days, because the market cap was so big, the market cap was so small, it was like this technological innovation. That wasn't the case. But as Bitcoin's market cap continues to grow, as it's gotten more correlated to just Wall Street and just the performance of the NASDAQ, it really, really seems to be extremely correlated with the money supply, the global money supply. Here's this graph that we've been showing over the last couple days. And I mean, look at that correlation, right? Bitcoin, the global M2. Some people are saying that the global M2 is the leading indicator, and Bitcoin is like kind of this lagging indicator. We'll see. I mean, we'll see within a couple weeks, if it continues to correlate with the global M2. But that's why I've been enjoying Arthur Hayes' work in regards to this, because he's been essentially making the case like, look, it doesn't matter about all this bullish news, doesn't matter about the SBR, doesn't matter about any of this stuff. The reality is we're in a QT environment. As soon as money printer goes burr, Bitcoin is going to be the first to react, and we're going to see new all-time highs, right? I really like that approach. I feel like that approach has been the most accurate so far. But I don't know who says this right. Every model is right until it's wrong. We'll see. But that's what the most recent, Bitcoin foreshadowing 8-ball magic thing is saying. Anyways, here's Tom Lee, one of his latest Legacy Media interviews. I'm going to play it, and then we shall talk about it.
I think, part of this was Bitcoin seasonally was just not going to be attractive until after March ends, and now we're finally exiting March. And so I think not only is the calendar looking better, but as you're saying, Fed and central banks are easing, QT's ending. I think that with positive Washington sort of tailwinds means I think Bitcoin can do well to the end of the year.
Right. People love it when I ask you what your year-end target is on Bitcoin.
Yeah,
and makes people very excited.
Yes, and I mean,
one crazy high again.
I think it's still 150 or higher as possible. Okay. I know it doesn't feel like it, but once we get through this tariff and that agenda around tariffs, markets can look forward.
So again, literally, I'm not even kidding, guys. That's literally exactly what I just said, right? We're in a tight, like, kind of monetary environment. When things open up, when the markets start to feel comfortable, when the uncertainty around the tariffs and the adjustment by the market to this new incoming administration is kind of complete, I think there's going to be a switch, and I think Bitcoin is going to be the first to react, because Bitcoin is always the first to react either to the downside or to the upside, because it's the only market that is open 24/7. Everything else closes, has work hours, which is strange if you come from Bitcoin world. But anyways, I'm going to pass it on to Wade, our guest today from Bitcoin Alaska. Wade, what are your thoughts? I mean, it seems like everyone is saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing at Simply. Tom Lee is saying the same thing. Do you agree with this talk about Bitcoin's price? It is where it is because of just the global macro environment.
Definitely. I find it interesting. There's some 10,000 homes for sale in the DC area. So that's due to people losing their jobs, people in financial hardship right now. As we come out of this phase, people are going to have more liquidity, but all those assets that they've lost are going to be more centralized. And the easiest asset to get their hands on is going to be the more liquid asset that's going to be Bitcoin. So I see as they print money and people have fewer assets due to the nature of the system, the centralizing of the assets, Bitcoin's going to rip from that.
Yeah, 100%, man. I echo what you're saying. I completely agree. Opti, what's your take on this? I mean, do you think Tom Lee's prediction, 150K by the end of the year, is it bullish? Is it bearish? What's your take, Opti?
Well, if you just say 150K by end of the year, I would say it is extremely bearish. But what data do I have? I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing numbers out there. But if you listen correctly, he said 150K plus. So I think, a lot of us, I've been saying for, I don't know, over a year that after the 2021 kind of disappointment, that I was kind of feeling 200 to 300K seemed like very likely. And then we got all this bullish news and I'm like, we're ripping past that. Like we are going way past that. We have to go past that. But now we're at this point where it's like, yeah, maybe Bitcoin is kind of slumping because of the global macro situation. There is a lot of uncertainty. And actually, tomorrow we'll kind of have a little more clarity of what's going on because a lot of people are just kind of waiting to see what Trump does with the U.S. economy. Obviously, we have the biggest economy in the world. So what we do, other people kind of wait around and see what's happening. And I mean, look, it does seem like we will pump. I think 150K, if we are kind of still in the same cycle kind of scenario, it does seem extremely low on my end. But you also got to remember, it's like, we're just on YouTube here. So like, we can be as bullish as we want to be. But if you're going on legacy media, you probably have to be a little conservative just so you don't seem like a complete total bulltard out there. So I think when people go out there on the television, they're giving conservative bets here and being like, look, again, they do this isn't financial advice, but I think it's going way higher type thing. And so they can't just be like, I know Samson Mao does it, but he'll be like, we're going to 1 million. But I think a lot of Bitcoiners, we do, or rather we should be a little conservative when we do give people's price predictions, because I remember 2021, I went home with my friends and family and I was telling them like, we're going to the moon, bro. Like we're going to 200K this cycle. And then it dropped under 70K. And I was like, actually guys, maybe I was wrong, but next time it's going to go. So I think we are seeing Bitcoin enter a totally new macro environment. And this is why you're also seeing kind of NASDAQ slump a little bit. You're seeing a lot of this tariff talks. You're seeing that Bitcoin does react very quickly to a lot of this tariff threats, because one day Trump would be like, I'm slapping you with a tariff, the next day it's off, and people are still just literally not knowing what's going on. And as we know, when there is uncertainty, people will go to the assets that they think are the least risky. Obviously, to us Bitcoiners, we think that's Bitcoin, but the information asymmetry is still kind of not in our favor. People don't really trust Bitcoin like we do, and it's probably because they are just used to these certain assets, whether it's gold or treasury bonds. But if you're listening to Larry Lepard, and I know we are all kind of watching Larry, reading his book right now, he's been super doomish on what's going on in the macro traditional financial world. And I don't know if we're in like, apocalyptic TradFi scenario right now, but we are seeing in general uncertain times that people let go of the most liquid, quickest asset right now. And of course, for most people, that is Bitcoin. So it's only a matter of time until people realize that Bitcoin is the one thing to hold and everything else is, credit. Everything else is basically paper IOUs. But until then, it just means that we have, cheaper sats. We have a better opportunity to stack sats, because when Bitcoin starts ripping, it gets past 100K, I think a lot of people are going to be like, you know, it's so easy to say that Bitcoin is a good thing when you bought it in 2017. And you're like, guys, it's not easy. Like we didn't get lucky here. Obviously, the whole show today is us kind of coping. Like, no, it's going to pump. I'm telling you, it's still going to pump. We're all trying to rationalize what's going on because we have literally no clue what's happening this cycle. Like, I think we could all agree that this cycle does feel different. And we don't know where we're going. Like, are we going to get a disappointment like 2021? Hopefully not. Like, are we going to get something crazy like 2017? I would love for that to happen. Maybe we're just entering a totally new cycle play out, and we still have yet to look to see what it is. So 2020 hindsight here, we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, the point remains the same. If you're watching Simply Bitcoin, stack Bitcoin, take it into cold storage. This is how you repeat this process and you win. This is the best, safest way to succeed in Bitcoin is just stacking Bitcoin, taking it into cold storage, make sure you're more productive, make sure you have some cash flows, make sure you have some savings, live below your means. We talk about this constantly, but right now we're all kind of wondering the same question. What is actually going on in the markets?
What is happening? I do want to give a shout out to the stream. 730 of you guys watching live on YouTube, 1,600 of you guys watching live on X, and 300 of you guys watching live on Rumble. If you guys are enjoying Simply Bitcoin live so far, make sure to smash that like button. Really, really helps with the algos. We have a jam-packed show for you guys. We have the news segment. We're going to be talking about a variety of different topics, including Gamestop approving adding Bitcoin to Treasury reserves. And the FDIC says banks can engage in Bitcoin and crypto without prior approval. Again, this is a complete 180 from where banks were last year when it came to Bitcoin. And why is this bullish? Why should you guys care? Well, the reason you guys should care is very, very simple. One of the reasons, again, that Saylor laid out said that needed one of the things that Saylor said needed to happen in order for Bitcoin to reach $5 million per coin is the ability for banks to custody Bitcoin. Remember, we had Caitlin Long on last year, and she said that her bank, Custodia Bank, was denied a federal banking charter because of a direct, essentially, order from the White House. There's so much hostility. And the reason you want banks, to be able to custody Bitcoin is when banks are able to custody Bitcoin, people could send their Bitcoin to banks and get loans, use Bitcoin as collateral in order to essentially fund businesses, fund their lifestyle without incurring a capital gain. So again, like as Bitcoiners, obviously you want Bitcoin in self-custody, but again, the integration of Bitcoin with the traditional financial system, I think is just going to make the number go up. I think it's a positive thing. You want Bitcoin to exist in a positive regulatory environment. You don't want it to exist in a negative regulatory environment. I think that not only affects the Bitcoin price, but I think that affects the ability for Bitcoin entrepreneurs to solve problems and to provide value to their customers. I mean, I cannot believe that we had one of the most popular Lightning wallets ever, the wallet of Satoshi, essentially leave the United States. I remember seeing a post last year essentially saying something along the lines of like, the wallet of Satoshi is not available in China, North Korea, and the US. Like, that's horrible. That's terrible. You definitely don't want that type of environment. So overall bullish news. We still have a lot to get to on today's show. And we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin Alaska conference that's coming up. We have the organizer joining us today as a guest. His name is Wade. There's going to be a lot of awesome speakers going to that conference. There's going to be like a whale watching tour where you can see actual whales in the water. It's dope. When do you ever get to do that at a Bitcoin conference? That doesn't happen very often. So anyways, guys, it's going to be a great show. Smash that like button if you guys are enjoying the show so far. It really helps with the algos, like I said. Let's see where we are on likes. We're at 222 likes. Help us break 300 likes by the time of the end of the show. Anyways, guys, we're going to hit the news segment. We have tons to cover. We will be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Casa. Bitcoin security matters, but managing private keys can sometimes be complicated, especially multi-sig. What if you can secure your Bitcoin without worrying about losing a seed phrase or giving up custody? With Casa, you can completely control your Bitcoin with multi-key security, so even if one key is lost or stolen, your funds stay safe. No single point of failure, no stress. That's what I absolutely love about these guys. They make taking Bitcoin into self-custody incredibly easy with their best in industry user experience through their app. I've been personally recommending Casa for years now to my friends and family because they will get all the benefits of multi-key self-custody security without the hassle of having to learn complicated UI. And if you're thinking of one day passing on your Bitcoin to the next generation, their inheritance plan has you covered. Also, if you're a business looking to add Bitcoin to your treasury, do it the secure way with Casa for Business. To get started, go to casa.io today and get 5% off Casa Standard or Casa Premium with promo code SIMPLY. Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally have not only an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledn is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to hodl while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you. Check out ledn.io today.
Guys, smash that like button. You're listening to Simply Bitcoin Live. We're going to get to today's news segment. We have tons to talk about. What are we going to get started with? Let's talk about GameStop, everybody. So I wasn't here for this show, unfortunately. I think what was I doing that day, Opti? I think it was on Friday.
I think you were being lazy.
No, I wasn't. I work harder than all you guys. What was I doing? Oh, I was re-recording ads. That's right. That's what I was doing. Okay, so GameStop approves. Also, FU Opti. GameStop approves adding Bitcoin to treasury reserves. I'm going to make you work harder, bro. Opti's going to be hosting all the shows next week by himself. It's going to be great.
Nico's trying to nuke viewership. I'm with it.
GameStop approves adding Bitcoin to treasury reserves. It's written by our boy, Nicholas Hoffman. We can't say Nick Can't Mine anymore. It's Nicholas Hoffman.
Is that him?
Yeah, of course. Anyways, GameStop announced that its board of directors has unanimously approved an update to the company's investment policy, allowing Bitcoin to be held as a treasury reserve asset. The decision follows a series of engagements between GameStop chairman and CEO Ryan Cohen and predominant figures like Michael Saylor. Here's a screenshot. GameStop GME to buy Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. They currently hold $4.75 billion in cash. On February 8th, Cohen met with a strategy chairman, well-known Bitcoin advocate Michael Saylor, sparking speculation that GameStop may be adding BTC to its balance sheet. A couple weeks later, Cohen responded to CoinDesk via a tweet stating "letter received" after receiving a letter from Strive Asset Manager CEO Matt Cole, which urged GameStop to adopt Bitcoin as a reserve asset. In its announcement, GameStop noted that its investment policy now permits investments in, quote, certain cryptocurrency assets, including Bitcoin and US dollar denominated stablecoins. The company also acknowledged associated risks, including the potential impact of these investments on its financial results and internal financial controls. The policy update was disclosed alongside the company's financial results for the fourth quarter and full fiscal year ended February 1st, 2025. For the fourth quarter, GameStop reported net sales of $1.283 billion, a decrease from $1.794 billion in the same period the prior year. Selling, general, administrative expenses fell to 282 million compared to 359 million in the fourth quarter of the previous year. Net income for the quarter was 131 million, up from 63.1 million a year earlier. Adjusted EBITDA for the quarter was 96.5 million compared to the 88 million in the prior year's fourth quarter. GameStop also disclosed that it held 4.775 billion in cash equivalent, and marketable securities at the end of the quarter. The company completed its exit from Italy and finalized the wind down of its store operations in Germany during this period. And now here, of course, is the picture of Michael Saylor and the GameStop CEO. Now, the reason that I find this really interesting, and I'll kind of open it up to the panel, is GameStop's a really interesting company. And the reason I'm saying that is because it kind of reminds me of MetaPlanet and MicroStrategy. Why am I saying this? MicroStrategy, when they started their Bitcoin strategy, right, they like 100x their market cap. But this is Michael Saylor's words. He said, like, listen, MicroStrategy was either going to essentially disappear in a very fast fashion or slowly over time, but the business model wasn't sustainable. MetaPlanet, which 48x their stock in 2024, was essentially like a hotel chain that got crushed by the pandemic. They had one hotel, and GameStop is essentially a company whose brick and mortar selling video games. The thing is that most people that buy video games, you buy it digitally now. You have Steam, or you have the Xbox store, you have the PlayStation store. You don't need to go to a brick and mortar to buy the DVDs to put into your Xbox anymore. You could literally just download games over the internet. You don't have to get in a car, right? So it's a business that is like, it was, I think, meant to go out of business if it wasn't for the meme mania, if it wasn't for like Main Street essentially coming in and saying, you know what, I have really good memories at GameStop. You're not going to crush my childhood memories. And then you had Roaring Kitty and all that stuff. But that company was essentially going to go under. It was like, it was crushed. But because all this retail, Main Street, essentially came in there and bought their stock, GameStop was able to survive. And now they find themselves with a pile of cash. This is the perfect company that can pivot to the MicroStrategy playbook or the strategy playbook or the MetaPlanet playbook and put itself in a very advantageous position, essentially switch their business model to a Bitcoin holding company, which MicroStrategy proved is possible. MetaPlanet proved is possible. And if I asked you and I said, hey, do you know what MicroStrategy does? 99% of you guys would be like, I don't know. I think it's a software company. But you would definitely say, I know they own a whole lot of Bitcoin. If I asked you what MetaPlanet did, what would you say? I don't know. It's a hotel chain, I guess, right? But you know it's a Bitcoin holding company. If I asked you what GameStop did, you would say, yeah, they sell video games. But I'd say like, okay, but who goes to stores to buy video games these days? You wouldn't know either. So this is the perfect company whose business model essentially has been made obsolete, but they have the ability to pivot to becoming a Bitcoin holding company and taking advantage of the vast cash reserves that it has on hand, right? So, I mean, this is a no-brainer. I think this is why it's happening. And it seems like the CEO, Mr. Cohen, had a very productive conversation with Michael Saylor. And I'm very bullish on GameStop stock, man. I think it's going to do really well if they really double down. If I were me, if I were in that situation, I would just smash by the $4.75 billion. Just like, anyhow, Opti, what's your take on this, bro? What do you think? Yeah, exactly. Some people in the chat are agreeing with me. I want to pull that up. Opti, what are your thoughts before I pull up these? Yeah, look. So I'm going to read some of these things. So Saylor realization that his business model was doomed is one of the most important things people should read. It wasn't just MicroStrategy. It's most Western businesses. Watch his interviews. Opti, Nico, PlayStation, or Xbox. I'm an Xbox guy. I actually started as a PlayStation guy, though.
I don't play video games.
Here is Satoshi 21 says total zombie companies 100%, and they pivoted to Bitcoin holding companies. Where's this one? GameStop needs to pivot their retail stores to focus on Bitcoin and Bitcoin products, hardware wallets, stamps. That would be such a great idea. It'd be dope to have an expert that normies could go to and talk to in person. That's a great business idea, actually. Anyhow,
wait, that's Bitcoin Way.
What are you talking about?
No, never mind. I must have heard it different. All right. Anyways, my thoughts on this.
Bitcoin Way is online. It'd be dope. Do you think Bitcoin Way is going to?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. I misheard.
Bitcoin Way. Bitcoin Way will eventually pivot to brick and mortar, but Bitcoin Way is all online, man.
Okay, I misheard it.
And definitely go check out Bitcoin Way. They're absolutely awesome.
Okay.
If you guys have any questions about how to take self custody, et cetera. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, well, first off, I know when the GameStop news, and I'll be brief because we did cover this, but I know when the GameStop news came out, everyone was like, why don't they just smash by their $4.5 billion of cash into Bitcoin? Why are they doing a $1.3 billion convertible stock? And it's like, hey, why would you want to spend your own money when you can spend other people's money to buy Bitcoin? So kind of a smart move here, I would say. But I think this is basically, I think, in the last week or so, we did kind of get some new developments on this story. Obviously, when this announced, the price kind of went up and then it instantly got shorted. There was some shenanigans going on behind the scenes. There was a lot of off-market short trades going on, and people were wondering what's going on. And then the price kind of dumped, and people, the GameStop people, I like the coin people are like, or I like the stock people are buying it. And it seems like GameStop and Ryan Cohen are seemingly kind of moving towards GameStop maybe not having physical locations anymore and just being like a pure hedge fund play backed by Bitcoin, which I think would be crazy.
It's a Bitcoin holding company.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think, though, the very interesting aspect of this is something we've been saying for a long time on the show. Now, once we get another Michael Saylor coming into the market, there's not that much room for big guys to come in and stack this much Bitcoin. So if they smash by, 1.3 billion, maybe another 4.5 billion in cash, I don't know where all this Bitcoin is coming from. There is not that much room for big whales like this to accumulate this much Bitcoin. And of course, we have Larry Fink's BlackRock scooping up. Like, the supply shock has to be here soon. What's up, Moaz? Mother of all supply shock coming. I don't know where all this Bitcoin's coming from.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's what Adam was saying. Adam Back's tweet was saying that I was reading earlier on the show. Where was it here? Most epic bull market in terms of news, worst bull market in terms of this. Pete Russo agrees with me, and then Adam Back says surprising amount of sellers given the persistent buyers buying 5x mine supply, but ultimately they can only sell once. Again, there's only so much Bitcoin to be able to buy, right? So who's selling all this anyhow? Or could it be paper Bitcoin? I mean,
do they even have the Bitcoin?
Like with that much centralized custody of Bitcoin, all the ETFs have their Bitcoin custodied with Brian Armstrong, a ledger in his nightstand. And Michael, and that's a joke. And Michael Saylor, again, he has his Bitcoin custodied with Coinbase as well. They could be rehypothecating. That could be the case. Anyway, Set says, hence why the strategic reserve was confiscated, BTC. Anyways, I'm going to pass it on to Wade. Wade, what are your thoughts here? What are your thoughts on GameStop potentially pivoting to a Bitcoin holding company?
I think this is great. There was a Luke Royals video that came out recently where he talks about how the alt season's dead and Saylor has successfully securitized Bitcoin, and he has. So now you go from unregistered securities that nobody likes, nobody wants to have anything to do with them because they're like a hot potato, and they're just pivoting over to Wall Street, and everybody who can access the stocks are pivoting over to the securitized, the registered securities. So this is a great news, and as more companies do this, it's kind of like a new alt season. It's still not like stacking your own Bitcoin, but you can leverage it. You can do things with it that you might not be able to do with regular Bitcoin. Granted, you don't have any of the ability to do any of the things you want to do with the security. You're better off having Bitcoin so you can buy, sell, trade, whatever you want to do with it. But Yeah, I think this is great. I think that I agree with Luke Broyles that could very well kill the alt season, which is so epic. It's about time Ethereum had a nail put in its coffin. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you see how Ethereum's extremely poor performance. I mean, absolutely getting crushed. And you could be right. I think people they're trying to outperform Bitcoin outside the altcoin casino. They're using essentially these leveraged Bitcoin plays that a lot of these holding companies are acting like, right? Like MicroStrategy, like MetaPlanet, and potentially GameStop. I mean, I'm bullish on GameStop, bro. I don't know if I would sell my Bitcoin in self-custody, but I'm bullish on GameStop as a stock, and I'm going to be looking at it as an observer. Anyhow,
objective observer, because we're objective journalists here.
Exactly. Opti just called himself a journalist.
That's the troll. That's the troll, obviously.
All right, everybody. Well, guys, we still have a jam-packed show for you guys. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin Alaska. Conference is coming up in Alaska. And of course, Wade is the organizer. So if you guys want to find out more information about Bitcoin Alaska, go to bitcoinalaska.org. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, make sure to smash that like button. Shout out to the 700 of you guys watching live on YouTube. 600 at 262 likes. Help us break 300 likes by the time the show ends. And shout out to the Rumble audience, which is absolutely popping today. 271 of you guys watching live on Rumble, and 1,800 of you guys watching live between YouTube and X. Smash that like button. We are going to hit the culture segment. We will be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's positioned to quadruple their global footprint in 2025. And as the first with an AI strategy, HIVE continues to make moves in sustainable, high-performance computing. They consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, and now they're headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're changing the game. You can catch the latest buzz by following them at HIVE Digital Tech, or check out their website at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, CoinKite. If you take your Bitcoin security seriously, you'll need the best Bitcoin hardware wallet on the market to take self-custody. That's where Cold Card comes in. The Cold Card Q is the most advanced Bitcoin signing device ever made. It's got a full keyboard, larger screen, and NFC support, making air-gap signing easier than ever. It's built for power users who want the ultimate security without sacrificing usability. And if you're looking for a battle-tested, uncompromising cold storage, the Cold Card MK4 is your go-to with PSBT signing, an industrial-grade secure element, and USB-C. It's the perfect blend of security and convenience. Both devices are, of course, 100% Bitcoin only, open source, and built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. Secure your Bitcoin the right way with the Cold Card Q and the MK4. Head over to coldcard.com today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 5% off anything on the store.
All right, everybody, we are back. Opti, what are you holding in your hand, Opti? What is that? What are you holding? That is the Cold Card Q. It is the best Bitcoin hardware wallet on the market right now. It doesn't sacrifice security for convenience, has a full keyboard A to Z, multiple secure elements from different vendors. Guys, this is the latest and greatest Bitcoin hardware wallet signing device. You want to take cold storage of your Bitcoin. You want to do it the correct way. Get yourself... Nice. Get yourself a Cold Card. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get 5% off. You could check out the Cold Card Q or the MK4. Go to coinkite.com today, and if you use promo code SIMPLY, you get 5% off anything on the store. Anyhow, I do want to welcome our guests today. We got Wade in the house. Opti, it's all yours.
Yeah, let's go. Excuse me. So, Wade, let's just talk about the general idea. When is Bitcoin Alaska? What are you guys working on? And then we'll go some sneak peeks. Our boy Rustin's going to be there. We're super hyped for Rustin to go out there. We're really trying to make sure he doesn't go too crazy on your stage. So let's just do a general Bitcoin Alaska plug. When is it? What will you be covering? And then we'll kind of dive into the different ideas and stuff you're going to be talking about.
So the full conference begins on July 1, and it runs through the end of close of business July 6th. There's a few different philosophies that we're trying to incorporate in this conference. And Juno is a unique community in that we have more policy here than probably any other community in the country, and we're landlocked. So with Juno, you have Alaska State Capitol, you have the executive agencies, commissioners, you have the Alaska Retirement Management Board that handles our state of Alaska retirement plans. We have the Alaska Permanent Fund Corporation that manages an $80 billion sovereign wealth fund. We have a bunch of native corporations. Linkit and Haida being, as I understand it, they're the head of a lot of the Southeast Alaska native corporations. So you're looking at several $100 million plus corporations here based out of Juneau. A lot of the unions throughout the state based in Juneau. And all this is packed into a community with about 30,000 people and no roads in or out. So you have to fly in or out. So by bringing Bitcoiners here to Juneau, I believe that we can disproportionately affect policy rather than being like, if you go to a big city, a concrete playground, you may not infiltrate the policy side. Whereas with Bitcoiners living among the locals here for a few days, I think we'll have a bigger impact on the state of Alaska policy as a whole.
Love it. And Nico's been really big on this idea of Bitcoiners infiltrating policy and the importance of this. So I think you were mentioning it earlier to us. What was it? The mayor that might show up?
Haven't had anything from the mayor yet, but we have had people from within the state of Alaska.
Oh, the governor. My bad.
We have an invitation out to the governor. Hopefully that's received well. We've done that in formal channels. We've done that in back channels. So hopefully we can penetrate his market and get him here, as well as also very hopeful. Representative Bagich's office is excited about the conference. No confirmations yet. I probably shouldn't have even said anything. So,
yeah, my bad. That's on me.
Right?
That was on me.
Yeah. But his office is excited about it. And there's rumor that there might be an Alaska State resolution maybe at some point or something. I don't know what they've got going on. I know Senator Begich is working really hard on Alaska and resources as a whole, not just as far as Bitcoin, but as in mineral resources, energy infrastructure. Like, he's really bullish on the state of Alaska, and Bitcoin could play a big role in that.
Love it. Yeah. And let's talk about energy. I think energy is one of those kind of not flashy, areas of Bitcoin. Obviously, we wouldn't be here without the Bitcoin miners. And I've been saying for a while, and people have different framings of this, but once oil is priced in Bitcoin, or I like to call it the Petrosat, like, this is when it's game over for the worldwide market's adoption of Bitcoin. So can you talk about energy, the importance of energy, and maybe, what you guys got working up there in Juneau?
So in Alaska's larger, it's like a third of the U.S.'s landmass, or a fifth. It's just massive. We have so much energy up here, more than any other state. And we've managed our energy differently than every other state. Back in, I think it was 82, we started capping our oil wells rather than utilizing our natural gas. So all that natural gas is just held underground. It hasn't ever been tapped. We have no way of bringing it to market. Well, until recently, now we're going to be, I believe, shipping a lot of it to Southeast Asia. But what's more expensive, shipping it or monetizing it on site? Sometimes it may just be better to drop a data center or Bitcoin miner on top of that and just mine Bitcoin. You don't have to worry about the cooling of your miners here in Alaska if you're on the North Slope. So why not? I think the estimated amount of natural gas in the state of Alaska is 30 petawatts. So For anybody who understands what a petawatt is, 1 petawatt is 1 quadrillion watts. So it's hard to even fathom how large that number is. And besides, that's just natural gas. There's also the oil. We have the largest coastline in the country. We've got geothermal. One of the geothermal sites could produce, one of the geothermal recommended sites that they're thinking about putting in could produce a continuous 5 megawatts. It's a lot of energy. Here in Southeast Alaska, we're in a temperate rainforest. So we pretty much run on hydro. The Juneau, Greens Creek, Kensington mine all run on the hydro off of out of south of Juneau. We've got a dam. So there's so much energy in Alaska, it's insane. And the amount of rivers and streams that pour out of Southeast Alaska, I don't know, if somebody wanted to just get off the grid and they could get a hold of a little bit of property, buy a stream, get some permitting with Division of Habitat, and drop a small turbine in a stream, you could just sit there and mine. So I just think Alaska has a big part to play when it comes to energy, but even more so like the financial aspect. Alaska has, just like every other state, we've got unfunded liabilities. And Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin as an asset could solve a lot of those problems. Don Bay, hopefully that's one of the things I hope he talks about when he comes up here. I know he's going to talk about when he comes up here. That's what he talks about. The Alaska Permanent Fund, we've been watching that get utilized for state government for a little while now. The Permanent Fund was established as basically like a 401k, a sovereign wealth fund that invests in different assets, and as it appreciates, there's a percentage of it that gets kicked back to the Alaska residents, and it's a way to show the residents that we are owners of the resources of the state of Alaska. But now, recently, I think starting in around 2017-ish, the legislature started pulling those funds from the permanent fund, from what would go to the residents, and giving it back to the state government. The downside of doing this is it doesn't benefit the Alaska residents. The argument they make is shallow. They say, well, the permanent fund used to be $300 per resident, but now it's $2,000 per resident. So we're going to take, part of that difference. But what they're not talking about is the fact that the reason it's gone down in value is because we've inflated. Like $3,000 today is $300 yesterday. So it's disproportionately affecting the residents. And then the state of Alaska also has remote villages. Until you're up here and you understand what a remote village is, like, it's hard to fathom what the energy cost is in a microgrid location of a village in remote Alaska. So Bitcoin could not only solve a lot of the issues with the permanent fund and as an investment in the sovereign wealth fund and how it helps Alaskans, it could solve our retirement issues. It could help build out our energy infrastructure. There's so many things that we could gain from Bitcoin in Alaska, not just mining, though, all aspects of Bitcoin.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, yeah, I went to Alaska when I was younger. I did the whole Alaska cruise, and what I know about Alaska is that it's very energy rich, right? And the thing is, though, just because a location is energy rich doesn't necessarily translate to prosperity, because what tends to happen is a lot of these energy rich areas tend to be extremely isolated. And just energy in general is very difficult to transport over long distances. And this is like perfect for Bitcoin miners. This is like the ideal situation. And not only that, you don't have to pay for cooling because it's pretty cold up there sometimes, right? And these microwaves that make a lot of noise and they create a lot of heat and they mine sweet Satoshis. I can definitely see Alaska, and I haven't seen any of the sites or any of the specifications, but just from like a bird's eye view, I could definitely see Alaska as a potential hub for Bitcoin miners. And then, the prosperity that comes along with that, right? Whether it's job creation or just being able to really build out, power infrastructure in these otherwise very isolated energy pockets, right? So yeah, that's incredibly awesome, Wade. And I'm sure that, I'm sure that there's a lot of Bitcoiners are excited for the upcoming conference. And I agree, like, what better way to plant your flag and to essentially create, leave my toasters alone, to create awareness for, you know, what you guys are trying to do on the legislative level than throwing a Bitcoin conference, right? And just creating awareness there. Now, I know that a congressman from the state of Alaska is an OG Bitcoiner. I believe he might be making an appearance at the conference, and he was a co-signer to the Bitcoin Act that was just recently reintroduced by the Bitcoin Senator Cynthia Lummis. I don't know if you want to add to that, Wade, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we're very hopeful he'll make it here. Maybe there'll be a big announcement at the conference like there was in Nashville with when Trump showed up. Who knows? I guess we'll see. We've got a couple months out before the conference. For those who are coming, I strongly suggest you book your lodging because, you know, there's only so many hotels in a town of 30,000 people. And, you know, when we start to get big energy from the state of Alaska showing up at the conference, you know, I met with heads of one corporation that is looking at building out 500 megawatt power plant utilizing clean energy, coal, and recapturing the nitrogen. That's just one, 500 megawatts, and they're talking, and they didn't have a way to bring it to market. They were looking at powering different mines around the region that they were in, but they're talking about data centers, AI, Bitcoin mining, and it was really fun meeting with these gentlemen. But that's just like one. How many big energy companies do you think there are in Alaska? I'm sure if anybody guessed, their numbers would be low.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Guys, get your lodging situation figured out, get your tickets to Bitcoin Alaska. It's definitely going to be a great time. I want to go through the schedule. Opti, if you could zoom in a little bit. So Tuesday, the 1st, there's going to be a Bitcoin veterans run, the Forge. Then on Wednesday, there's going to be an Orange Hatter Bitcoin picnic and Bitcoiner karaoke. Bitcoin karaoke is going to be featuring Dom Bay and the Coin Fathers. So it's going to be absolutely awesome. Thursday is going to be the reception cruise. I believe that's where we're going to go whale watching and stuff. A Woman of Bitcoin late brunch, 4th of July fireworks, 4th of July parade on Friday, the 4th of July. Saturday is going to be conference day 1 and bazaar, and Sunday is going to be conference day 2. So definitely don't want to miss this, guys. Bitcoin Alaska. Go to bitcoinalaska.org to find out more information. The Simply crew will be there. We're going to have 2 members, and it's going to be a great time. And potentially me and Opti, if we can make it. But guys, definitely don't want to miss this. Rustin's going to be holding it down. And it's going to be a great time. So, and hopefully we can get you some of these keynotes and stuff from the Simply Bitcoin channel. We'll be dropping it, so you guys could see it. Alex Gladstein's going to be having a keynote. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And I believe him and Rustin might be having a fireside chat as well. So guys, definitely don't want to miss Bitcoin Alaska. Go to bitcoinalaska.org for more information. If you guys enjoyed today's Simply Bitcoin Live, make sure to smash that like button. Consider subscribing. Want to give a big shout out to the live audience. Came in strong today. Shout out to the Rumble audience as well. And of course, shout out to the X audience. Love you guys. Smash the like button. Consider subscribing. And we'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.